Phone calls, phone calls, phone calls. We all want more phone calls for a home services company that can be turned around and realized into new revenue. But what are you doing to realize the best digital marketing that you can have for your business? Reach out to redesign.co, strategically partnered with CertainPath and work with over 110 CertainPath members and get a free digital marketing audit that will show you the way to better digital marketing, better leads, and better revenue through digital marketing for your brand. We'll talk to you soon. That's redesign.co, strategically partnered with CertainPath.
Shuby. Shuby makes it easy to take your customer service to the next level. Show your clients you care with their full line of extra large, extra durable products made specifically to protect their home or business. Shuby products were made by service professionals for service professionals. None of those cheap, thin shoe covers that tear on the job. Their booties are made tough. They have surface protection products for every floor type to make sure you don't leave behind scuffs or scrapes. And don't forget their coveralls, made with an extra long torso for ease of motion while keeping your uniform clean all day. Let Shuby prevent the hassle of cleanup by preventing the mess in the first place. Put your best foot forward with Shuby today. Visit their website at www.shuby.com or give them a call today and mention coupon code SGIPOD10 to receive 10% off your next order.
Welcome to The Successful Contractor, powered by CertainPath, formerly Success Group International, a show for residential contractors about residential contractors. We chronicle business journeys, share insights, and celebrate successes in this wonderful industry. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. As a reminder, all episodes of The Successful Contractor are available on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice. And yes, you heard me correct. SGI is now CertainPath. We've rebranded ourselves under a name that we believe best represents what we do for residential contractors, and that's put them on a certain path to success. For more information on what we can do for you, visit our new site, www.mycertainpath.com, or give us a call at 866-299-8505. Today's show is another CertainPath Monthly Member Discussion. These are interactive live programs where I interview CertainPath members on a particular topic. And the topic today, everyone's favorite, recruiting. How to find better people and more of them. And I'll let my guests introduce themselves in a moment. I hope you enjoy the show and take away a nugget or two. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another monthly member discussion. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. Monthly member discussions are your opportunities to hear from members like you explain what they're doing to be successful. Think of it as a little slice of expo coming to you through your computer or phone every month. And this month, we're featuring a topic near and dear to everyone's hearts in the trades, and that's recruiting. Hey, before we get going, as a quick reminder, as we talk about today's topic, if someone mentions something interesting or you'd like some additional explanation of what they're talking about, write those questions in the little box below. The last 10 or so minutes of the hour, I'll ask our panelists those questions, and I've got plenty of questions because obviously this is a big topic. We have two guests. One is having some technical difficulty with the camera, but that's okay. We have her audio. And that first guest is Miss Angela Blessinger, the Chief Culture Officer of JA Bertsch Heating and Cooling in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Angela, can you hear me?
I can. Hi there, Bob.
Hey, all right. Wait, you sound loud and clear, so that's all that matters to me. I really appreciate you being on. Sorry that we're having some technical difficulties with that link, but again, glad to have you on. I'm excited to hear your insight. So thank you. And then our other guest is Mr. Gabe Adkins, Recruiting Manager for OnTime Service in Birmingham and Mobile, Alabama. Gabe, can you flip that on? There he is.
Hey, how's it going,
doing, sir? Great. Really, thank you for being on today. Appreciate both of your times. I know with your obligations and responsibilities, you guys could probably do it 24/7, 365. That's how important your jobs are. Lots of questions to get into, so let's just go ahead and dig in. Again, you both manage the recruiting functions for your companies. There's lots of CertainPath/SGI companies looking to hire your position. So maybe kind of share with everyone your backgrounds. Angela, I'm going to start with you. Kind of share with everyone what your background is.
Sure. Hi. So I have a very strong background in business development and marketing. I have administrative roles and everything, but for the last few years, I have been heading up marketing and sales and really building on relationships. And so when this job came around, it was a perfect fit for me, especially with the company that I'm with, to just get right in there, get my hands nice and dirty with getting to know everybody, and it works very well for recruiting. So sales and marketing and business development is my background.
Yep, very good. Yeah, recruiting is a sales function in a lot of ways now. So, Gabe, kind of same question to you. Share with everyone what's your background and how you got into this.
So graduated from Samford University back in 2017 with my bachelor's in science and business administration. My concentration is marketing. And so with this position, you're looking for someone that has excellent communication skills, excellent analytical skills, as well as excellent multitasking skills. So you're looking for someone that can kind of wear all those hats, because there's so many functions in recruiting. There's creating the job post itself. There's actually talking to the applicant over the phone, over Zoom. And there's also some analytical stuff with running advertising numbers with the different managers. So it's really it's multifaceted approach with recruiting.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Gabe, I'm going to stick with you with the next question. We'll kind of ease our way into it. How do you know what positions you guys need to fill at any one point? You're a huge company, growing rapidly. Do you have direct contact with the GM, or is it individual managers, or how do you know what's expected of you?
I am staying in constant contact with each department manager daily. As part of my daily routine, I'm reaching out saying, hey, what do we need? But as a rule of thumb, with this aggressive, competitive recruiting market, we are constantly always looking for technicians. Even during slow season, we always have a post for technicians.
Yeah.
As opposed to apprentices and office personnel, that's kind of week by week, month by month, kind of sort of, do we have the money and revenue to do that? So, But for techs, it's constantly, to answer your question.
Sure. Thank you. Ange, I'm going to throw it over to you. How do you know what jobs you're looking to fill? Who are you communicating with to understand those expectations? What's that look like for you?
So I'm going to go with the same thing that Gabe said at first, and then I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So in constant contact with our install manager and our service manager and our owner, just looking at where we are and what the needs are. So daily, I agree with Gabe, that's very much a necessity. As far as service technicians, we've had a lot of luck, for lack of better words, with getting a full staff of service technicians. So we're doing really good in that area. But we recently were in need of about 3 more apprentices, which we've just hired 2. So our focus has been more on the install department rather than the maintenance and service tech portion of it. So just constant contact with our managers and our owners, just making sure that we're all on the same page is very vital.
Sure. I'm going to follow up to you on where are you getting the bulk of your applicants? Is it word of mouth from employees within the company, because they're happy? I know it's a great company, and they're being a great mouthpiece for you. Is it the third party sites that everyone has to utilize, or what are you guys seeing the most success with?
So you're going to get as much as you put in. So we put in a lot through Indeed. We do a lot of word of mouth. We speak at the colleges. It is really important, and I'm sure Gabe will agree with the marketing and building relationship portion of it, that when people know you around town, when they see your face, they know your business, they know the people that work for you, that word of mouth is, again, so vital. So just being in relationship. I had a friend yesterday that I reached out to her and I'm like, hey, so-and-so, your husband's a electrician, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what's going on with that? And so it's just about knowing people. But as far as online, I would say Indeed is our biggest one, and just staying in connection with people on LinkedIn. But we do all of it. We do Twitter, Instagram, all of that.
Yeah, we'll dig into the online platforms in a minute. I wanted to follow up on your word of mouth. You said you kind of talk about it consistently. Do you guys do any kind of a spiff or fee to the team if they recruit someone? And if so, what does that look like?
We are currently discussing that right
Yeah.
now. We have not had that in the past, but I do think that it would be a great thing for our team to be able to receive a spiff on recruiting. So that is something that's in the works amongst many other things that we're talking about currently.
Sure. Lots to go. Lots is going on. So, Gabe, I'm gonna throw
Yes.
that question to you. Word of mouth, online. I'm sure you utilize it all, but is there any one that's stronger than another?
For our particular market, Indeed has been really, really successful because we've been very aggressive with it, with putting the max amount of budget per day, so we're at the top of the list pretty much, and then just reaching out to applicants through Indeed message, just finding their resumes, applications, we're getting guys that way. Also, our in-house referral program has produced a lot of good applicants for us, and so we pay $1,500 per tech. We pay $400 per apprentice, per admin person. And so what we do is they have to work out their 90 days for the referral, the person referring the technician to cash in on that referral. So that's our two main sources. We utilize Facebook. We utilize this job recruiting software called Jazz HR. And so they put free posts on ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, all that good stuff. And, we've actually gotten a few applicants from customers, because we're doing such a great job for our customers. They're like, I want my son to work for you. So we've gotten a few applicants that way. So it's really not a one solution approach. You just have to have a scatter plot approach. You just have to do every little thing.
Didn't I hear at Expo, weren't you guys utilizing some other kind of platform, maybe designed specifically for technicians, Red something or other? I'm losing my mind.
It's called Red Balloon. And it's another job recruiting site, which is more for blue collar people. And so that's another good one that we've used. We've gotten 2 applicants from there.
Okay. And that was pretty new platform for you too.
It's very new. Yes.
Okay. Very good. But similar to like the other ones, you post ads and you just have to stay on top of it and respond quickly. So, okay. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and follow up with you, and Angela, I'll throw it to you next. Let's talk about job ads a bit. And I've got a series of questions. And so, Gabe, let's start off. How often are you posting ads? You said, I know text is a constant concern, right? And then your office, you guys are growing. So how frequently are you posting, and how do you make your ads stand out?
Well, so like I said, earlier in our conversation, I'm posting constantly for technicians. And so I have made the budget such to where we are number one, we are active on these job recruiting sites. And so, a lot of people, you think people, in this current economic climate, you're thinking people want pay and benefits. They do, but people really crave culture. They really crave job advancement. They really just crave a good team, a good system to be a part of. So we really hit on those key points, and that really attracts a lot of people. And this is the way we do business. We're honest, we're straightforward. We don't really sell anything to the customer. We get a lot of texts that way just because of the way we do business as well.
Right. Do you put in your like the headlines, your job ads, do you put dollars at all, or do you try not to play in that ball game and instead, hammer away on culture and work-life balance or whatever you guys stipulate?
We will say sign-on bonus just to stay competitive within the market, but we really hammer just great culture, opportunity to grow, advance within the company. And so on Indeed, you can list the salary right there, so an applicant can see that, but we really just try to hammer culture and job advancement opportunity.
Do you and Angela, I didn't forget about you. These will go to you in a minute. So do you require a resume to be uploaded with those, or will you still take the application? Because I know there's a way to not have to require resumes. What's your thought on that?
Well, I always require a resume application just to see, because there's certain technicians from certain competitors that we just don't want because they just don't do business the right way. So I would love to see a resume application. Occasionally, I will get some texts that will just call in and be like, hey, I want to work here. So we're very, very flexible, but I would prefer a resume application just to help us to see if they're a culture fit right off the bat.
Okay. All right. Now, last follow-up to this line of questioning is, how often are you monitoring those incoming applications? Do you have it set up where something bings on your computer when it comes in, or, how quickly, and then how quickly are you responding to those as well?
Unfortunately, I don't have a thing where, if there's an application coming in, I get notifications. So I'm really just checking my emails constantly. And if it's a technician, I'm Johnny on the spot. I'm calling them, like, let's say they fill out an application at 11. I'm normally following up with them 10, 15 minutes later, and very, very quickly, because I know there are times where there's so many applications come in that we miss a few. But if you're not on them within a day or two, the tech probably has another job already.
Sure. Very good. All right. Thank you, Gabe. All right, Angela, let's throw that line of questioning over to you. Let's talk some job ads. How often are you posting them, refreshing them, and then how do you make your ads stand out from the competition?
So first question is, I am in contact with, we have a person with Indeed that kind of looks over our account and makes sure that our job postings haven't expired, or maybe they're getting longer on the list and we need to repost. And so just figuring out how to keep them up and the most viable that they can be, with right in their face all the time. So I'm looking at that on a daily basis. And the reason why I'm looking at that on a daily basis, I get the email, hey, you have an applicant, and that's good enough. But as far as the budgets and everything, I want to make sure that we're on budget with what we're doing. And so I might change that up from time to time. And if I decide that, okay, I'd like to change the wording, I'm always constantly in there going through that and changing that up.
Okay.
You had said there was a second question there, and I'm going to have you repeat that.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I was just going to say, how do you make your ads stand out? So Gabe had talked about the hammer home culture and, try to differentiate themselves in that manner. So if you're tweaking your copy frequently, what are certain things you're adding or subtracting to try and again, cut through the clutter so that you guys stand out?
So it's very interesting, and I know that we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we use what's called Culture Index. And with that, it really talks about just the right fit and maybe the type of person that they are, the personality that they have. And so if I'm looking for a particular characteristic or personality, let's say that, for instance, installers.
Yeah.
You're not going to get these big, elaborate conversations with them, big personalities as you might have a marketer. And so you want to be able to kind of put that ad towards the type of person that would be in that position. So might just say, hey, are you looking for this and this and this? Something to grab their attention. We have in there, are you meticulous? Do you have great attention to detail? Different things like that. And then we also, as Gabe said, talk about the culture, and culture is a huge thing. People want work-life balance, but more importantly, they want to be treated as though they're not another number. Every single interview that I have, someone says that. And so it's very important to put that in your post. Are you treated like another number? Well, here at JA Bertsch, you want to incorporate those things.
That's great. That's great. My next question is about resumes. What's your policy on resumes? Do they have to upload one, or do you just not require it? What's your thoughts on it?
We would love for them to submit a resume. If they don't, it's not a make or break deal, though. We have other ways of going about that, but everyone needs to fill out an application. If they are not submitting a resume, they need to. If they are submitting a resume, they need to. And you say, well, why would somebody need to fill out an application if they're submitting a resume? Because sometimes you can find inconsistent things versus what they have on the resume and what they have on their application. So again, it just talks about character, who they are, where their background has been. So Not necessarily do we require a resume for installers and some other, tradespeople. They might not. You'll get a lot that are, whoops, I was going to amend that 5 years ago and it's out of date. So
Yeah.
you get what you can get from them, but you also, on my end and Gabe's end, to be able to really get the information that you're needing, and you can get it one way or another.
That's interesting. What the inconsistencies that you find, is it typically what years that they work there? Maybe they were out of work, or something like that. They try to skew it that
Yes,
way.
or they'll neglect putting maybe a job on there that they have on their resume, and so okay, well, you weren't working from this time to this time. What were you doing? Oh, well, I was at this job, or oh, I wasn't working. Well, on your application it says that you. So really, it speaks a lot about character if they're just going to be forthright with you.
Yeah, that's interesting. And again, kind of the last follow up is how often are you monitoring those incoming applications, and how quickly are you responding once you get them?
Every day. Recruiting and being a hiring manager, you never ever can be off the ball. You have to be on it every single time. So I have two phones. I have a personal phone and a work phone, and I'm constantly checking my emails. Just like Gabe said, if somebody is reaching out and they have a great resume, or they've said that they have a lot of experience, I will generally call those people. And I've had people say, oh my gosh, I just submitted my resume 10 minutes ago and you're already calling me back. You need to be on the ball, especially in the trades. If you're not, somebody's going to snatch those people up.
That's a great way, I guess. I really never had thought about it till now. Great way to differentiate yourself as well. It shows hunger that you're wanted. We want you to be here. That's how quickly we called you back.
Yep.
Angela, one last, and Gabe, I'll throw this one to you. How often, Angela, are you searching actively these third-party sites for people that have posted resumes? Is that something you utilize much, or you wait for them to come to you?
Usually I wait for them to come to me. Maybe frequently I will, but I wouldn't say that it's a big, huge part of it. I mean, we do Facebook. We put the ads on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn.
All the social, okay.
So all of the social, but I would say that the majority of it comes through Indeed and word of mouth for us.
Okay. You're not searching the Indeed resumes that are posted. You're more on the responsive
So
side.
actually, with that being said, there's an option that you can have. It'll say like 100 plus active or something like that, and you can click on there and you can invite people to apply. And I do that very often.
Okay,
so with
that's what I was getting at. Sorry.
I'm constantly, and it has a reoccurring thing to where it's even inviting people that I haven't particularly selected.
Sure. But so that's great though. So you are actively sending invitations for people to
Yes,
apply.
I am.
That's great. Gabe, I see you shaking your head. I'm guessing you do the same thing.
Yes, we do the exact same thing. But if applications aren't coming in for a particular position, I'm being aggressive on Indeed. I'm sending out invites. I'm sending out personal messages to applicants on the application search, just to try to make sure that I'm trying to reach as many applicants as possible, just to try to fill the role, because it's crucial to fill these roles, because after every day goes by and the role's not filled, it's costing us money, it's costing everybody money. So it's just, I got to be very aggressive about it, just to stay on top of it,
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to follow up. Next kind of question, Gabe, I'm going to throw it to you. I know you guys, I scouted out your website. You definitely mentioned careers. You guys are right up front, if I'm not mistaken. It's right on your front page. Kind of talk about what you're featuring on your, the company website, about job openings, and just how you kind of address that, and what kind of messaging you put in front of people on your website.
So we pretty much just incorporate it with our marketing. We're honest, straightforward. We have a great culture. We got great pay, great benefits. We have opportunity to grow and advance within the company. We do offer, we're willing to train someone who's green for HVAC or plumbing or electrical to teach them a trade and to teach them a career so they have a job. And while they have a job, we're teaching them how to do it. So,
Sure.
I mean, that's pretty much what we're hammering. And a lot of people just love the culture and they love the opportunity to grow and advance within the company. And they also like that we are active in the community through charity organizations, that we actually care about our people too. And so, I had an applicant that applied that said, yeah, I heard that y'all as a company went to the Birmingham Barons baseball game. The company rented out a skybox for all y'all and y'all had a great time. And so I just wanted to be a part of that. So it's just having a good culture to just invite people to come in, you know?
Yeah. I think if I'm not mistaken, your website has a lot of video too with Carrie on it, your owner, and it talks about, again, it's not talk about maybe what the video content is. I don't want to speak to it. I'll let you do that. So talk about what that video you have on the site does and what it communicates.
I believe it was a video that Fox 6 News, our local TV news, interviewed Carrie, and he was just pretty much talking about the perks of, you know, wanting to come work for OnTime Service with the pay, the benefits, as well as just an opportunity to, if you want to be an apprentice for any trade, you can pursue it because we've got the right tools, we've got the right techs and the right teaching material to help anybody to pursue a career in any of those three trades. And so a lot of college kids or college age kids that don't want to go to college, they see that as a major selling point to want to come work for us. It's like, oh, I have a full-time job, I'm getting paid, and I'm learning a trade. So that's another great perk and benefit with being a part of our company.
Sure. Very good. Thank you. Angela, let's talk about what you guys have set up at JA Bertsch. What's your kind of careers page look like? What are certain things you like to highlight or feature on it?
Sure. So with our website, I would say, honestly, there's not a lot that is geared toward the hiring or recruiting. We do have on our main page that says that we are hiring. It takes you to the page where you can fill out a short little application and have that sent in. And we do work with one of the media providers for that to get that up on our webpage. We do have a little video on there from one of our customers that talks about just the team and who we are and how the customers really look at us. And it's kind of funny because some of their verbiage I wouldn't necessarily say this, but they did, and it worked. So and it's a good thing. But that was really great to put that video on there. As far as the career page on Indeed, you're going to see pictures. You're going to see our team posting comments about how they appreciate and like working for us and what that does for them and their family. It's really a combination of everything. I wouldn't say particularly that it's just our website. I think a combination of everything. We have it all over the board. We have stuff all over the board. One thing that I can say on our Indeed page is, and I learned this at the SGI convention, and I thought it was a great idea, so we implemented it, is to put a little video blurb of me on there just saying, hey guys, I'm Angela with JA Bertsch Heating and Cooling. Let me tell you a little bit about our company. This is who we are. This is who we are in the community. This is who we're looking for. If you're interested, please click on the link. And as I'm sure everyone on this call knows, video is so important right now. And so there's a lot of people that have reached out to me through that video on Indeed. And when you're inviting people, it's sent to every single person. So if you're inviting Joe from down the street, Joe is getting that video of, hey guys, this is Angela with JA Bertsch. And it's like, wow, that's not something that you usually would use. And so it's something that stands out. But going back to your question at first about the website, I wouldn't say that there's anything on the website that's like, oh my gosh, wow. It's just a combination of everything.
Yeah, but you have stuff on there. That's important. I'm glad you brought up the Indeed's career page because I forgot to ask you about that earlier. Gabe, what do you guys do with your Indeed careers page? Maybe kind of share with everyone what you guys do.
So I pretty much work hand in hand with our marketing coordinator at Vital Storm, and I've told her how I want the Indeed career page to look, and it pretty much just mirrors our website career page. And
Okay.
so we've done a good job of just integrating it and making it seamless. And that's something we do need to do, is we do need to do a video of myself just talking about the benefits and everything of the company, and maybe do like one-on-one interviews with different technicians, different admin people, just so that, applicants can better get to know the company,
Sure. No, that's good. No, that's a good thought. That's a good thought.
Good idea, Gabe.
Yeah. I just always marvel at how this industry has changed in 15, 20 years. We were talking about newspaper ads and yellow page ads when I started. Now everyone's doing video on their own websites. Anyway, I'm old. All right, Angela, let's talk. You mentioned culture index, so let's go ahead and hammer that a little bit. When do you ask people to fill out that questionnaire to kind of identify what their culture index personality profile is? Is that just part of the application process?
Yeah, and it hasn't always been. Before we would have them come in for an interview, and we were just getting in it at first, so we didn't really know how to execute that with the new hires. But
Sure.
before we would hire, we would have them do the culture index. Now, what it looks like is if somebody applies for the job and sets up an interview, bam, it's included in the Google Calendar invite. It's sent to them. Please fill this out. It takes 7 minutes. There's no right or wrong answer. It's kind of like copy and paste thing that we do for everybody. And
Sure.
we just put on there that it helps us get to know them a bit better. And you'll notice that, and see, the thing is with hiring and marketing, it goes hand in hand. And you have to be creative with it. And so one of the people that I met in the SGI convention, he had said something really impactful. He said, when you are using the culture index and you get that before the interview, you can put your questions around what their culture index is showing. To see if they're telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
And so all of those little things you want to incorporate before. So I do ask them to do that before. If they don't, no big deal, but it is very helpful, and it helps you get to know them a little bit before they step in the door.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you find, there's certain personalities that you just are like, okay, that's just not going to fit the role. Do you gauge it at all? Okay, could you kind of speak to that, maybe kind of share with people what personalities seem not to do well at certain things and which ones seem to do really well in others?
Sure. So, for install, for instance, if you have somebody for install and they're not detail oriented and they have no patience, but they're extremely social and they want to lead everything, but they don't like following instruction, and they're applying for an apprentice position, maybe it's not the best fit for them, but maybe it would be a great fit for a salesperson. So it's not necessarily just because their culture index doesn't come back perfect for that one job, it doesn't mean that they can't fit in your company in another area. It just means that particular position might not be the right fit for them. And we're not only thinking about them, but we're thinking about our team as well. How is this person going to fit in with the team?
Right.
As a whole, because we want them to be happy, but we also want our team to be happy and healthy at the same time.
Of course. How about for office jobs? I've talked to other members that have said, we got culture index and we noticed we were having issues in our call center. And we had everyone fill it out. And we're like, oh, everyone's low on detail, like you talked about for install. Is that also work the same for the call center positions as well? They have to be high detailing, or is there, what have you found?
Right. High detail is definitely good for office. So is being social, because when you're talking to customers, you want to make sure that you're able to hold a conversation with them and communicate with them properly. You don't want to have somebody who doesn't, who has no patience at all. Hi, this is so-and-so with JA Bertsch. What do you want? That's not going to work. So,
right.
So you kind of have to gauge. And it's not one shoe fits all. It's just kind of like is this going to work with our team? And we're not expecting people to be perfect. We just want them to be the best fit. And especially if you have people who are, let's say that you have 6 office people, does this person have that might, be a benefit to the rest of the team? And is this one little niche something that's going to make or break it for them or for the team? And so the culture index is not 100% like, oh, this wasn't a good culture index for this, so we're not going to look at you. It's just more helps us to be able to gauge, is this going to really be the best fit for our team and for them? So I would say for office people, yes, attention to detail is very important. Having a lower autonomy instead of like, okay, it's my way or the highway, because you are working as a team and you're working for the service techs and the installers and the comfort advisors and everything. So you just kind of have to gauge it. And is this person going to work or not?
Sure. On technicians, and Gabe, I haven't forgot about you. We'll go through this with you. On the technician side, do you guys put a lot of weight into it, or if you get someone that's qualified and can do the job, you'll find a spot for him or her? And well, I mean, maybe we just let the manager know, hey, he's this type of personality. You're going to have to handle him this way. Maybe talk to how you use it for techs.
Yeah, definitely. So, yes, I have done that, and it's actually worked out very, very well. So, for instance, there have been a couple people that we have hired, and I've went to the manager, the department manager, and said, this person is very punctual. They're very diligent. They're very persistent. This is the way that they think. And so instead of approaching it like this, we may want to approach it like this. And that has to do with communicating on a constant basis with your team, knowing who they are and being able to communicate properly. We talk about perspective a lot within JA Bertsch, and it's really, really important, because you can't just have one manager who talks to everybody the same. And I'm sorry if this doesn't work for you, but this is the way we're going to do it. That's a way to not have retention and to lose your team. So we really, really try to look at perspective and help grow and help them meet their goals in the way that they need it to be met.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Gabe. I know you guys utilize Culture Index. Let's talk about it a little bit. Again, when do you have people fill out the questionnaire? Let's get that part through first.
So we make it mandatory. As soon as someone fills out an application with us, they're redirected to the website link and they're taking the Culture Index immediately, because it's important to know, what their personality is, how they fit in the organization, or they right for that particular job, because there might be someone with a great application, great resume, but their culture index is not a right fit for the job. Then I go to work to try selling them on a job that we do have open, and just trying to steer them in a better position that would help them and help the company as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's talk about different, again, like we spoke with Angela about it. Let's talk about the different positions and maybe things you found about, say, a sales position. What are certain personality traits that you find are really prominent in top salespeople?
So top salespeople they're daredevils, they're persuaders. They really, it doesn't matter about the details with them, as long as they, in terms of autonomy, they're able to self-regulate themselves and push themselves, make their own goals. And they have to have really, really excellent communication skills as well. So that's what we found in good salesmen. In terms of technicians, we really don't care what their culture index says, because if they're licensed, we're hiring them, because there's such a shortage of good qualified licensed techs out there. So, we just hire them, and then we just figure out the rest of it later, how they're going to fit into the organization. And we are picky on apprentices. We're looking for coordinators, because we're looking for people that, have good communication skills, that are self-starters, and that really pay attention to details. So that's what we're really looking for in apprentices. Office admin people, we're looking for specialists, traditionalists, and they, really doesn't matter if they're very social. It's just, are they very technical, and are they good with buttoning up the details? People in the call center, we're looking for socializers that are really, really good with people, really, really good with talking. Now, we'd prefer to have socializers that have high details, but a lot of people that are good social people, I mean, the details just kind of are lacking on them. And so we just try to build a system to where, we do have details, but it's not a detail-oriented job, if that makes sense, just to try and make it easier for them and their personality types.
Support for this podcast comes from Bradford White. Bradford White is a full-line manufacturer of residential and commercial water heaters and boilers. While being manufactured and assembled in the USA by American craftspeople, Bradford White's goal is to deliver high-quality, superior products specifically built for the professional contractor. You can always count on the performance and reliability of our built-to-be-the-best products. Visit bradfordwhite.com to learn more.
Gabe, I'll start with you on the phone interview. So you reach out to someone, right? What are some things? I mean, first of all, is it video right away, or is it just a phone call? What are some questions you're asking, or what are some things you're telling that person right away to try and maybe get rid of the undesirables?
Well, so at the beginning of the phone call, I'm reaching out like, hey, this is Gabe Adkins with OnTime Service. I'm the recruiting manager here. I see that you filled out an application with us. I'm happy that you filled out an application with us. Just seeing if you had any questions for me. That's a good icebreaker just to get the applicant going, get them talking.
Sure.
And so they kind of ask me, hey, what is this about the culture? What is this about the pay, the benefits? What are the hours looking like? And so I just kind of dive into that. And then after they're done talking, I get into my line of questioning, which is, it's very important for us that they pass a background check. They can pass a drug test. They have a good, clean, valid driver's license, because we've had to turn down several technicians because they've got a bad driving record or they don't have a driver's license. And with everything now, the vehicle insurance company we use is super strict. And just from a liability standpoint, we have to add them to the driver's list. They have to be insured because, we've had 2 incidences recently where we've had plumbing trucks, 2 of them on separate different occasions, different techs, like flip on the freeway.
Oh, man.
It's important to have our techs insured just for their safety as well as the safety of the driver. So it's really, really important. And then I ask them just pretty much like, what are they looking for in a company? Why do they want to come work for us? And how did you hear about us? And questions like that.
Okay.
And I really just go to work on just selling the company, selling the culture, selling the pay, the benefits, the opportunities here, and just trying to just give them the point that we're a unique place to work and we'd love to have you, and so that's kind of how we did utilize Zoom interviews during the pandemic, but now it's a regular phone screen again, and we typically have people come into the office and do face-to-face interviews because that's better and easier than a Zoom call. Because there's some techs that don't know how to use Zoom or they don't have Zoom capabilities. So it's just easy to everyone just do face-to-face interview. And that way, if they're lying to us, we can kind of tell in person,
Yeah, sure. And I will definitely dig into the in-person interviews in a minute. On the phone interview part, though, are there certain things, red flags you're keeping an ear open to that are immediate go, okay, that's going to end it right there. Outside of the background, the obvious 3. Are there any other things that someone says and they're like, all I care about is making an extra $1 an hour? I mean, what do you think?
If a big red flag for me, if there's a tech that's like, oh, I do side work with my cousin Eddie on the weekends, that's a big red flag for me because that means, if they become friends with their customers, that they're going to do side work for them, not on behalf of the company, but on behalf of themselves. And that's a huge red flag for me. Another red flag is, I just want to get off work at 2:45 every day. And so it's just like not feasible. We do offer flexible work schedules with normal Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We also offer, 4/10s, which is 4 10-hour work days where, they work 4 days and then they get the 5th day off. But it's, just little stuff like that. Or just like if an applicant does say like, I don't have criminal history, but depending on what that answer is, that may or may not be a red flag. So I'm just kind of, looking out for many different things, and I just try to let the applicant do the talking, because if you can get that applicant or technician or whoever talking, I mean, it can reveal a lot of things about them right off the bat. So
yeah, I was going to ask about that. What if there's certain questions you ask about side work, or they're getting off early? But it sounds like if you just get someone rolling, they just kind of let it be known what their true self comes through.
And another thing we do too with technicians, we try to find them on Facebook. And so, if there might be a few red flags on there with certain pictures or certain activities, and so if we find that, then we just normally just kind of X them off on the front end, and it saves us a lot of headaches down the road.
Very good point. Very good point. I didn't think to even ask about that. That's great. Thanks, Gabe. Angela, let's talk phone interview with you. You get a really good, juicy application. You go, oh man, this person looks great. What does that conversation look like? What are you saying to them? What questions are you asking? Kind of share with everyone what you do.
So I've only done a couple of phone interviews. Usually I like to do in person. Yes, I have done Zoom quite a few times, and that's for maybe somebody who's out of state and they're wanting to, or out of the area and they're wanting to relocate. But for most of the time, it is in person. Okay. I did have a phone interview yesterday with a gentleman, and basically, I don't ask the same questions every single time. It's on a case-by-case basis. But some of the questions that I will ask, I just highlighted some of them, but I'll ask questions like, other than money, what is the most important thing to you in a company?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just be like, oh, well, I need to be paid well, or, that used to be the big thing. Now it's a little bit different. So we want to know, besides the money aspect of it, what are they really looking for to see if they're a right fit for us? What are two personal values that you hold near and dear to your heart? Because if they're like, I can't think of any. I've had somebody tell me, I can't think of any, just somewhere nice to work. Okay, it's probably not going to be the best fit then. So, what kind of character do you have? And tie that in with, who they are, culture index, what they say on their resume. You use all of that stuff. Yeah. What are your goals, short-term and long-term? I want to know about your goals, because we want to help you to be able to meet your goals, whether it's buying a house, whether it's having more family time. We have a lot of people who work for us that have little kids, many kids, spouses. And so we want to be able to help make their dreams come true. Do they love horseback riding? Can we incorporate those type of things? Recently, we have had a taco truck come in to just appreciate our team. So little things like that. And then I also ask, and this this is kind of a funny question, but it tells you a lot about the person. If you could invite two people to a barbecue, living or dead, who would it be and why? And you would be very surprised at some of the answers that you get. Whether somebody's saying, I would invite this, I was interviewing this person not too long ago, and he said, I would invite my mother because I love her so much. And I would invite my grandfather because he could teach me so much. And I thought, wow, this guy has something, so it really tells you a lot about that. So those are just some of the questions that I do ask. But going back to your first question, I really don't do a lot of phone interviews. Okay. I want to see them in person. I want to look at their eyes. I want to see their body language. And I try to make it very, very personal with them. At first, I just say, hey, because a lot of times people come in really nervous or shaking and you just say, hey, this is just relax. I just want to know about you. Tell me about you. Tell me about your hobbies and everything. And from there, it's a good conversation.
That's interesting. All right, I do have a follow-up because you mentioned out of state. And Gabe, I think you mentioned to me separately, you've hired people from out of state. Is that accurate? Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So, and I'm going to ask each of you this. How do you handle the out-of-state applicant process? So it sounds like, Angela, you'll do a Zoom meeting, and if that goes well, what is the next step? Do you ask them to come in, fly in? Do you pick that up? How do you guys handle that?
We can hire based just out of getting to know them over Zoom. We would probably do 2 to 3 interviews. We would have them do their background check, their drug testing in their location before they came. Just as Gabe said, it's very, very important. And we do mention that in the interview process that they would need to pass a drug screening test, that they would need to pass a background check, have a good driving record. To date, we've not hired anybody out of state. We have tried, but it really hasn't worked out for us.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but that's how we would go about doing that.
Okay, I hear it more and more. That's why I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Gabe, what about you guys? Have you had a couple, or what's the process you utilize in those situations?
Well, so we've had a few guys, not from out of state, but different cities. I really just hammer the point, like, how interested are you in relocating here? Like, are you relocating here? Like, because I want to make sure that, they're serious about relocating to the area. I really hammer that point. And if they're, very, very interested, then I schedule the interview and they can fly in or drive in. And so we do the interview in person. And so if we really, really like that person, we're doing the background drug test MVR that day. And that way, everything's processing while they're going back home. They're getting packed up and ready to move. And so if everything checks off, we normally just hire them, and their start date is typically whenever they relocate. But we've had a few that's panned out, and then a few that haven't. And the few that haven't are like, well, I'm really interested in wanting to relocate, and then just haven't heard anything back from them because I guess they decided to stay at their current home or go to a different location altogether. So we just have an open mind and just really, really flexible.
Sure. Do you pick up any of the expense of them if they fly in or drive 3 hours of gas money, or is that a litmus test to see if they're how serious they are? And you prefer not?
It's really a case by case basis. Typically, they would pick up the flight or the drive, and yes, it allows us to see how serious they are. But if we get a really, really good tech, I talk with the department manager about it. Then, if it's a special case, we'll pick up the rental car, or the flight. But typically, we just allow the applicant to just handle the travel arrangements.
Sure. Very good. All right. I want to follow up the in-person interview because Angel, we got your insight on that. So you talk to someone, they go, okay, this looks like a good person. What is your, how quickly we schedule that in-person interview? Is it, within a week of talking to that person, maybe, and then talk about what your interview process looks like?
Sure.
Okay. Who is it for?
Oh, it's for Gabe. Angela, you gave us. My bad.
Okay.
No, I was getting Gabe's insight on this one. Yeah.
Okay. So typically, if it's a licensed technician, we try to schedule it the next day.
There you go.
But we're really flexible. We work around their schedule. If they want to meet Saturday at 2, we make it happen. If they want to meet Friday at 5:45, we make it happen. But we typically try to interview within the same week, or if not, the next week. We try to bring them in really, really quick. And in the interview process, I'm working hand in hand with the department manager to handle the interview because I pretty much ask all the personal cultural questions over the phone. I give that info to the department manager, and the face-to-face interview is typically handled by the department manager because he can ask that technician all the little technical questions that I don't necessarily know how to, I don't.
Sure.
I'm not a technician.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Technical questions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's how you handle that. All right.
So then if the interview goes really, really well, we're processing background drug test MVR that day. There's some applicants, if we're 50-50 about, we normally just pay them to come in and do a ride along with us, probably the next day or the next week. But if everything checks off the boxes, we're moving quickly with them, light speed. So if we're talking about the recruiting process from start to finish, if it's a really good applicant, we're hiring them within a week or two. It's very, very quick.
Is it your conversation with them, conversation with the manager, offer extended? Is that it? Or is there another maybe round of interview? I mean, you said there's a ride along potentially, right? But is that generally the process, the 3-step?
If it's a really good interview, that department manager is calling me saying, hey, I'm going to make an offer. Can you process his background? And then I get the ball rolling on that. And that's how that goes. And it's contingent on, okay, Bob, if applicant Joey, if his background MVR drug test comes in, then he's hired, but it's contingent on everything coming back good,
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. Angela, let's follow up. So you said you like to sit down with people initially.
Yes.
After that first interview, will you extend an offer right away, or will you like that person to come back for a second one, or what's your process?
It's on a case-by-case basis. I mean, there are some people that I hired very, very quickly, and there are some people that it's been a longer process, maybe weeks. And so it just depends. But initially, it will just be me who's doing the interview with them. If they reach out and they show their interest, like Gabe said, I do a lot of messaging back with them on Indeed, sending them emails, giving them a phone call. And then once they come in for an interview, it's just me and that person sitting down, talking about who they are, what they're looking for, why our company, really getting to understand who they are and if I think that they would be a good fit. At that point, if it is somebody that is going to go into the install department, since I don't know all the specifics, just like Gabe said, I may have our install manager sit in and schedule a few days later a second interview.
Okay.
But I want to have that culture index in my hands. By the second interview, I will have called on 2 professional references and asked them to give that information to me. So the second interview is really like a make it or break it as far as what the department manager feels. And there's a lot of trust that they give to me as far as, hey, do you think that this guy or gal is going to be a really good fit? And if they do, and the department manager has agreed, then we'll go ahead and move forward. We, in the first interview, will talk about the drug test, the background check, and the driving record. There have been some times to where we have mentioned that, and then we've extended an offer, and then all of a sudden, oh, I forgot to tell you, I did have a little felony here.
A little felony, not a big one. Yeah.
So we learn from those. We learn from those type of things, and maybe some questions to ask. And we've been more direct about that. But initially, that's how it goes. Never have I ever done a third interview with somebody. Some people have been hired based off of the first interview, so it's really just been a case-by-case basis.
Okay. In the case by case, it's just whether it's technical questions that you can't answer, or maybe you're like, I got a decent feel, but maybe I want to talk to that person again. Is that a big part of it sometimes too?
Yeah, it's either that or, hey, I really want the department manager's input.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump the gun and hire somebody without them meeting this person. And so a lot of my reserve sometime is just from, hey, I want their opinion. I want them to meet this person. If they agree, maybe they're going to ask them some questions about retrofitting or mini splits or doing boilers that maybe I don't have those specific verbiage or understanding about that.
Sure.
And so that's for the department manager to come in and have a conversation, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to be managing and supervising this person. I want them to be able to at least have an opportunity to start that relationship.
Sure. Good stuff. Guys, I'm going to keep going if you don't mind a little bit, because we started late. I got a big question, and we got some questions from the audience I want to be sure to ask, if that's all right with you guys. A big one I want to be sure to ask is how do you pursue trade schools? Or I know you both hire green people, right? So do you pursue trade schools, high schools, candidates like that? Gabe, let me throw it to you first. So do you do that? How do you build those relationships? How often are you working with the schools, communicating with them?
Sure. So we've built a great relationship with Hewitt Trustful High School, which is a local high school, and they have a class there that specializes in residential electrical work. And so we built a great relationship with them, the professor. And so, typically we just have a pipeline of applicants that come out of that little mini trade school and high school, and we just bring them in direct to our company. We've also built a great relationship with Alabama Power, they do kind of a 8 to 9 week boot camp with HVAC. And so it teaches them enough to where they're advanced apprentice. And so we've got a good relationship with the instructor, and we typically hire 2 to 3 graduates per year out of that program. And so there's a few other trade schools like Fortis and some other ones, but they typically don't produce good applicants that we're looking for. So it's really, we're very selective with who we're choosing from what trade school, pretty much.
How did those, because I know everyone watching is going, well, how did you do that? How did you foster those relationships? What is that process look like?
So I work hand in hand with the department managers, and so they're always in the know on a lot of different things. And so I work with Scott Freeman, our HVAC service manager. He said, oh, his buddy is running the program at Alabama Power. So that's how we got for that. And then we just started doing research on local high schools in our area to see if they're doing any trades programs. And when we found out about Hewitt Trustful, we just had a great relationship and got comfortable with them that way. So it's a little bit of who you know as well as just research.
Yeah, the schools that you said, their students aren't the best. Is it because of their backgrounds, what they're taught, or what they're not taught, or what is it?
It's a little bit of, some students coming out of there aren't really a culture fit for us, and they're not being taught, the right things. They're more taught on the commercial OSHA side. We really need them to be honed in on the residential aspect. So
sure. That makes sense. Angela, same kind of line of question to you about trade schools, high schools. Do you guys have any connections with schools? And if so, how did you foster those relationships? How frequently are you communicating with them?
Sure. We do have North Idaho College, and so they actually have a trade school for HVAC, and that is a 1-year program full-time to help get them into the learning, hands-on experience, but it's not hands-on as far as on-the-job training. And so they are needing just some more hours and that on-the-job training to be able to get their journeyman's license, but they have been working in labs and so forth. And so what I did a couple months ago, and I'll be doing again, is going in there and working with the professor to speak to those people in the class. And those can be anywhere from people who have just graduated high school to people in their 30s, 40s, and up. And it's just talking about why we're different. And really the culture aspect of it is huge when you go do that. If you have somebody in marketing, and I'm kind of talking to everybody who's on this webinar right now, but if you have somebody in marketing, make sure that they are honed in with the hiring, with what's going on with recruiting and everything, because those people usually have great creative ideas. And when you're talking with these people, you want to make it fun. You want to make it, needs to be something to where you're grabbing their attention. And so we'll talk about work-life balance. We'll talk about the benefits that we offer, but we also talk about maybe what they're looking for, especially to the younger generation. What are they needing? What are they wanting? We've hired 6 people out of that school this last year. That's and great. So going back, I didn't know the professor before that. It's just going back to the marketing aspect of it. You walk in, who's the secretary there? Oh, Annette, and she knows that you remember her name. Let me put some marketing material out there. Let me go in and talk to the professor and come up with some ideas about how you can help their students. It's about cultivating relationship, and then cultivating relationship with those students, because those students will tell other students who will tell other students, and that's where the word of mouth comes from.
But look at you cold calling and just going out there and putting yourself out. That's great. But you're right. You got to follow through, right? If they'll give you a shot, but you got to follow through. That's interesting. Exactly. Good stuff. Real quick, couple more. Then I'm going to ask some of the questions submitted. What, just so people know, if they hire a recruiter, right? Or and I know you guys have different titles, but someone that handles recruiting function, what does each of your days look like? Like how much time are you searching online? How much time are you interviewing? So maybe Gabe, start with you, just kind of quickly detail what your week looks like, and what you're doing on a day-by-day basis in your week.
So typically early in the morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm going through work emails, and some of that might be admin related. Some of that might be applications coming in that I'm putting in our job recruiting software. And so typically around 9, 10 o'clock, I'm reaching out to applicants with phone interviews, scheduling interviews, and I'm doing the same thing a little bit after lunch.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon, it's just processing more applications, processing more culture indexes, and it's pretty much just I'm just constantly reaching out to people. I'm constantly processing applications all day, every day. Sometimes I have to take a call late at night at 8:30. I don't want to take the call, but it's got to be really, really aggressive with recruiting.
Sure.
It's really important, because if I don't talk to that person, we're going to lose them to our competitor. So it's
100%.
just being aggressive and just being on top of things. And what you're looking for in a recruiter is someone with excellent communication skills, someone with excellent creativity, and really someone with excellent analytical skills to be able to process the admin stuff, the back end stuff, the data.
Yeah.
So it's really important. I would say the best recruiter, if we're using Culture Index as an example, probably a coordinator would probably be, or a not a daredevil per se, but maybe an influencer. An influencer coordinator would be a typical, a good recruiter profile.
Good stuff. Angel, how about you? Talk about what's your role like on a day-to-day basis in a week, so people can kind of best understand.
Sure. So with mine, I am the hiring manager, but I have a lot of other kind of title within my title. So I start at 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock is really geared toward just taking care of my team, just making sure that I'm available to my team. So part of the retention, part of that after hiring is just for those new hires, going and talking with those new hires. How are things going? My office is not a disciplinary office. It's one to where you can come in and shut the door if your cat died and you're really sad about that, to be able to talk about your day, to be able to talk about your goals. And so as the culture index officer, chief culture officer, I am helping to implement positive change from the get-go, from the time that getting these people coming in the door, retaining them, and part of the marketing as well. So I don't know if many are, know about the culture index thing, but I am a persuader. And so with my culture index, it's very much has a lot to do with marketing and being that go-getter. And I find that is it's worked out very, very well. I will reach out to people throughout the day, but then also that marketing side of me will go on Canva, which you can create flyers and documents there, and you can go and post them in local gyms. You can go and post them in your coffee shops. A lot of times they have little bulletin boards that you can put up on. So the creative part of me, that persuader, that go-getter, is to go out there and look at as many ways as possible you can get as much information out there as you possibly can to bring people in. So my day is kind of all over the place as far as the things that I'm doing.
That's great. Look, at least you're doing some guerrilla marketing. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We might have lost Gabe here, but that's all right. If not, we'll kind of wrap up you, Angela. I got some questions from Facebook, and I got one question while the show was going on, and we'll just. Oh, there he is. Hey, Gabe. Yeah. No, that's right. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute, by the way.
I had some kind of technical glitch. Sorry, I lost.
No, that's all right. It's a theme for today. But that's okay. This has been outstanding. You have been exceptional. I'm just going to buzz through some questions we got from the audience, and you guys just speak up, whoever has any kind of insight on it. First one is, what are some selling points for smaller companies that don't offer a lot of standard benefits? So I know you both have larger companies, but if you had to work with someone that was really small, what are some things? Is it the culture thing, or is that the big selling point, or what? How would you approach it? Either one of you. What do you think?
I'll just talk really quick, but it is definitely culture. If you don't have a lot of benefits and little spiffs that you can give, the majority of the people, and I believe that I already mentioned this, but the majority of the people don't want to be treated like a number. They want family. They want somebody who's going to listen to them, treat them with respect, have their same values. And so you zone in on that type of stuff. There are so many companies now that just treat you like a number. Here's your paycheck and go home. Talk about their goals. Talk about what they're wanting and how you can help them get there. When it becomes personal, that's a way to get their attention.
That's good. Gabe, anything you want to add to that?
Sure. I agree with everything Angela said. And I'll also say, too, just, people love when small companies are part of the community, when they're going to the chili cook-off or they're going to the shrimp boil, and really just hammer just being a part of the community and being active. And we're active in our local charities, and we give back. And we also, put an emphasis on wanting to be a part of the community for a very long time. We're not just going to pick up and run to another small community. And so, and just hammering the culture, as well as, since we are small, technician Jeremy, you can help us to grow this thing, and we can become a bigger company. So there's an opportunity to grow and advance. And as we grow this thing, it can lead to a bigger role for you. And so that's a great selling point, is just that opportunity to grow this thing and really rise to better heights,
Totally agree. That's what I would say. I would sell the vision of what you see the business to be over the next 3 to 5 years, and place them in that and where they could go. That's good stuff. The next question was, what places do you guys look for new talent? We pretty much covered that thoroughly. One of the other questions was interesting. We don't have any plumbing training for young people in our area. How would we go about approaching schools to recruit young people to pursue the career in a plumbing trade? So I guess it's more or less, how are you really finding apprentices if there's not a school to lean on? Do either of you, maybe speak to how you're recruiting apprentices? Where are you finding them? Is it just online or somewhere else in particular?
Sure. I'll start this off. We've been involved in local high school job fairs, and that really hasn't helped in a traditional sense, because millennials and people that are Gen Z, they're very tech savvy, they're very involved in social media, being online. It's just important to have a social media presence, an online presence. And I have these flyers. If I see someone who's interested in a position, it's got a QR code that puts the applicant directly on our website, and we just kind of hit the biggies right here. And so we just hand these out to people if we see someone that we like. And we also tell applicants that we do have sort of an in-house training program, so you can have a full-time job, you can learn on the fly, and we'll also, provide academic materials from our program as well as SGI. That's another selling point. And we've also found a little school in Arkansas that we send plumbing apprentices to help them along in their apprenticeship program. So that's kind of how we find apprentices, and that's kind of how we sell people. It's just an opportunity to grow and advance, learn a trade, and be a part of a great culture as well.
That's Ultimate Technical Academy you sent them to, right? Or is this a different one?
I think it is the Technical Academy in Arkansas. Yes.
They're a longtime partner. For anyone that is interested in that, looking on our SGI website, there's information. Yeah, I know those people have been with us for a long time. Angela, do you have any kind of insight if you were in a situation where there were not schools and you'd like some green people that you could grow from the ground up? How would you pursue that?
Sure. So we are invested in the Idaho Department of Labor, and we do a lot of hiring events with them, events through the Chamber of Commerce, also online presence through Facebook and such. But I've made some flyers on Canva that have been like job versus career. Are you looking for something in the trade to help meet your goal within the next 5 or 10 years? Do you feel that you're stuck in your job and you're not going anywhere? So I try to say things like that to grab their attention. With us, it's not so much that the younger generation does not come to the hiring events. Actually, a
Yep.
lot of them do, but it's just, again, focusing on that job versus career thing. A lot of
Yep.
people, especially, let's say 18, 19-year-olds, if they're recently married and have
Mhm.
kids, they're not looking to work at McDonald's anymore. They're looking for a trade.
Time
And
to
so
go.
that's what we really try to focus on.
Yeah, very good. Last question from the audience, this is a good one because it popped in my head. What's your marketing budget look like for recruiting? Because Gabe, I think you mentioned it earlier. You budget so and so for this, and I was like, that was a good follow-up question. How would you answer that?
Well, it depends on, what size you are as a company in terms of marketing budget for recruiting. I mean, I know off the top of my head, we spent $47,000 last year on recruiting, and that's job ads, that's processing background checks, drug tests, having a social media presence. So it really depends on how big you are and how much you're willing to spend on recruiting and advertising, because I look at recruiting as marketing, and so if as a company, we're aggressive with marketing to our customers to help get the phone to ring, but we also need to be aggressive in recruiting in order to have a good pipeline of people coming in so we can serve as many people as possible so we don't miss service calls. So I would say, you have to look at it from how big you are as a company and how much you're willing to spend and how willing you are to be aggressive, because it just doesn't work anymore to where, if you're in the top 5, you're going to get good talent. It's like, if you really want to have a chance to get people, you need to be in the top 3 on job boards just to have a presence,
Yep. Absolutely. Angela, what do you have a particular budget you keep in mind when recruiting and that kind of stuff?
Well, I know that recruiting, obviously, like Gabe said, that marketing budget is definitely, recruiting is definitely under that marketing budget. Usually the marketing budget is 7 to about 10% of the overall revenue. So we don't have a percent within the percent. We kind of just look at it and say, okay, marketing, if we're needing banners, if we're needing marketing material, flyers and everything, maybe it's not zoned completely to recruiting, but maybe we can utilize both and say, hey guys, this is what we're doing. We've been able to give a trigger away to the community. We do a lot with our veterans, By the way, we're hiring. So we really just look at every opportunity to use that 7 to 10% to put that recruiting in, no matter what we're doing with marketing.
Right. I just my real quick throw in. I know I talked to Gus Santos, who's a part owner of CertainPath SGI, owner of Milestone. I think he told me they spend $120 million of revenue, 1% on recruiting. I would say to this person, I think it's Alex that asked, these percentages only matter if you're priced right and you're profitable, right? So, if you're not making money, those percentages get skewed. So I'd get with your coach if you really are interested in digging into that. Gabe, Angela, thank you so much for your time. Angela, I'm so sorry we had technical issues. You look lovely on FaceTime. I'm sorry not everyone got to see you, but you two were just superstars today. Thank you for holding on over the hour. I just can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it. This was good insight. Thank you to everyone who is watching live, those who asked questions. For those who have been interested in the video, it'll be available soon on the SGI/CertainPath member website. It will then be later distributed as an episode of the Successful Contractor show, which is available on YouTube and your podcast player of choice. Again, thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next month. For our next monthly member discussion on June 15th, our topic will be on call centers, how to maximize every opportunity that comes in your office. So I will look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much. That's Angela Blessinger, the Chief Culture Officer of JA Bertsch Heating Cooling in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Gabe Adkins, Recruiting Manager of OnTime Service in Birmingham and Mobile, Alabama, talking recruiting. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if so, please like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on your favorite podcast player, please leave us a 5-star review. The 2 seconds you take to leave a review will help other success-minded contractors like you find us and hopefully get a little bit better, which elevates our entire industry. And please join me for future episodes. This has been The Successful Contractor, powered by CertainPath.